Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Encouragement in the Way of the Lord. And for those who don't know us, I'm Emily and this is my husband Trevor. And today it was on our heart to speak to you about the subject prayer. Because that was something that just before I came to the Lord, I had a coworker and he was a believer. And he asked me if I pray. He said, "Emily, do you pray?" And I said, "Pray? I mean, yeah, occasionally." But really, it really struck to me because I went home walking that day, and I realized that I was not praying. I was not talking to the Lord. And also, Mom said that, Emily, if you have a friend and you never talk to your friend, would it ever want to be your friend? And I realized again, I was not having this relationship. And it was later on in my life that that was working in my heart, and also the fact that I started to realize that I was separated from the Lord with my sins and all of this. But really my point here is that prayer was not there. Talking to the Lord, asking Him to help me to become His child. And so our question for you today, do you pray? And here we're going to go through a few verses in the Bible that talks about prayers. I have my little notes here because I want to make sure we go through all of them. And the first one would be Romans chapter 12, verse 12. And here it's Paul that talks to the people about how to behave as a believer.
Romans 12:12. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer.
That's it. Yeah. So constantly praying. And so that was one. And then Colossians 4:2.
Continue in prayer and watch in the same with thanksgiving.
This is Paul again talking and saying to continue in prayer. So just to see how he was talking. And there's a reason for praying continually. It helps to keep the mind of Christ. It helps to keep our mind with Him as a connection, continually with Him. So let's go now to 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7.
But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober, and watch unto prayer.
Here we have Peter, which he knows that we will get attacked. As believers, we have attack from our old nature, from the world and Satan. So he said to watch in prayer. Again, that keeps our mind. We also have the armor of Christ, which one of them is the helmet of salvation to keep our mind as well. And now let's go to there's a few places where again he will say about pray without ceasing, and there is a few that we'll put on the screen, but let's just go for now. Acts chapter 12, verse 5.
Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him.
And then another one, Romans chapter 1, verse 9.
For God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I make mention of you always in my prayers.
So here we can see there's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 17. And then there's 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 3. Those are also verses that talks about pray without ceasing. So my question for you is that, first, do you pray? And second, how often do you pray? And third, what are you thinking during the day? Where are your thoughts going? Those are things that you can think about. And my prayer and desire for you is that you would make sure that you would direct your thoughts, your prayers to Christ at all time. And it will change you. The more you have the mind of Christ, the more you will become more and more like Him. And it will change you. So this is it. But do you have an example, Trevor, about praying?
I do. One of the more recent and directed prayers that I can recall was when the two of us were dating. We were talking, we were really serious, we were looking forward to actually meeting in person for the first time, given the little more unique circumstances under which we met. But we were actually so serious that we were talking about kind of contemplating marriage. And I spent, a good month or so praying to God about if she was going to be the one for me, and if so, that He would put it on her heart to come to the decision that she would be willing to marry me, and that was going to be, kind of His sign to me that this was to be. And if not, it would have been amazing, but we would have moved on. But fortunately, the Lord did answer that prayer, and I can remember that specific conversation that we had that day when you told me that you could see yourself marrying me. And it was to see that direct answer there, and how it was putting it in His hands, being content with His choice, if it was to be or not to be. And that was kind of a difference. It was, yes, I really wanted it, but I was also going to be okay if that was not going to be the case. But I am happy we are here today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You must admit that Trevor's from Alaska and I'm from Ontario, and we met on a very small Christian cafe and online, which I never thought I would do, but the Lord pressed it on my heart. And it took 5 months from the beginning of his first email to me to our marriage. I never thought I would get married that quickly, but the Lord really took care of all the details. And yes, He did pray, and I didn't know He was praying for this. I thought it was quick. I thought, I didn't even think. But then all of a sudden during the day, I had in my heart, I was just thinking, and I had read a book about I was a believer, a Christian believer, and she had said that, if it is, then get married, and if it is not, do something about it. But and she also said that to really think about it, like, do you trust your life in this man's hand? And anyway, and I actually thought about what she wrote, and that was like in the 1800s she wrote that, but it was talking to me today. And I thought of it, and I said, would I really trust this man? As because I was always praying, Lord, if you want me to have someone, that it would be from you. If if it's not, then close the door. I want to make sure that I continue to follow you and to obey you. And if I get married, that we would be two serving you. And the Lord really pressed on my heart one day, and I thought of it, and I said, I would trust. I can trust this man. And this night, and I didn't know he had prayed about, Lord, show me to marry him. And I told him I would be ready to marry you. And then think you cried a little bit that night.
It was pretty special. Yep, I can remember it. And also before that, we made an appointed effort to call each other morning and night and pray. And it was the first thing we did when we got up in the morning. We prayed together, and also the last thing we did before we went to bed. And that really put us on the right path to making sure that we were open to what God was telling us and putting us on the same page. And when you pray, you're putting yourself out there with God, and when you're praying with somebody else, they're kind of getting that little window into your heart and soul. And so you can really, if you're really listening, you can pick up on, things that are on that other person's mind and their thoughts, and respond to that and be there for them. It makes a big difference. It's really important.
So that, again, it brings us back to that prayer. It was connecting Trevor and I, but as a triangle with the Lord. So we were always three together, connecting, and may He would show us and lead us. So yeah, we thank the Lord for that. Yeah. So that is it for now. And we hope that you enjoyed this little nutshell that we had to share with you, this little nugget again. And if you're interested in knowing more, you can always subscribe. And if you have any comments, you're welcome to share them. If not, that's okay. We're just there really to share with you what the Lord puts on our heart. And may the Lord bless you and keep you until next time.
We'll see you then.
Bye for now.